What's up guys, Everett here and day number 7. So we're gonna do some more hips today, but it's gonna be focused on a morning routine that you can do depending on what type of mattress you have without even getting out of bed. Obviously the more firm mattress the better, but it's gonna be for the hips, focusing on rotation. It's gonna be 3 separate stretches, a little bit of hip flexion and then abduction and then external rotation and then internal rotation. So kind of like every direction, knock it out right in the morning. And then one movement, this is going to be a partial hip cars. I've covered controlled articular rotations in my channel before, specifically for the hips. I'll pop that video up here. And of course, they're also included in my hip mobility e-course, which you can grab on my website. So let's hop into the first stretch. So the first stretch is real easy. We're just gonna be laying down on the back like we'd wake up, and we're gonna pull the knee up and then across the body. So you can really crank to the side like this. We wanna keep the hips even pressure from the left and right butt cheeks on the mattress or the floor and pull across like that. So we're gonna do a nice, easy minute stretch here, all right? Trying to, again, pull up and across more and more over that minute. And then once again, we're gonna switch sides. Again, pull up and across, all right? Don't let that right hip roll off the ground. You're gonna feel this side glute muscles, again, minute per side. After that, we're gonna switch back to the first side and we'll have both feet on the ground. We're going to rotate externally like so. Now when we do that, again, people's hips tend to shift to the side. Try to keep them in the same position as you throw this, in my case, left foot on the right knee. So some people, again, different leg lengths, you might need to pull this vertical leg up a little bit more. You might need to pull this left foot down or push into the knee to get that stretch. Again, we don't want to be arching or rounding the low back too much or shifting the hips or allowing the hips to roll and have one hip off the bed. So we're really isolating this external rotation. People tend to get really deep into the stretch. You'll see them oftentimes pull up like this, which isn't bad to do at all. But again, to do this, they're like really rounding their low back, or again, they're losing this rotation by just rocking the hips to the side. So make sure everything's set up right, neutral spine, hips are on the ground, and adjust with the knee or this foot first. And if you still don't really feel much of a stretch, then reach through the leg, interlock the fingers and pull up. But again, keep the spine neutral and almost like a little arch in the low back, all right? So we're gonna do, once again, a minute per side here. And again, this is a lot of external rotation. So if on one side you can grab the leg, but on the other side you can't, that's completely fine. The final stretch we'll do in this position is going to be internal rotation, and you'll have to adjust, once again, depending on how long your legs are, what you do in this position. So we're gonna kick, in my case, the left leg out to the side. Again, you might have to kick out more, less, you might have to have less of a knee bend, but it's gonna be laterally outside the body. Other leg up on the knee, and then we're going to drop this left knee in like so, internally rotating the hip. Once again, pretty common stretch. What people will do is they'll roll at the hips, rotating the lumbar, and you can see I can slide my hand underneath my left butt cheek. That's not my hip, that's my back rotating. Again, is it a bad stretch? No, it's just not what we're trying to accomplish here. So keep the hips evenly on the ground and let this knee fall in as much as you're able. And same thing when we switch over to the right side. Watch, you might have to kick that right foot out more or less, or again, how much of a knee bend you have. Watch the low back and the hips. And this is slightly subtle, but I think about also trying to open my hip a little bit. So let me do this side. So instead of just leaning down, I think about opening my hip to get a little bit of hip extension as well. So subtle, because the hip is always going to be bent in this position, but there's a big difference between keeping the hip bent and just falling in, and then almost trying to open the hip a little bit and lean in. So play around with that as well. It might not make sense just when I'm saying it, but think about that. almost trying to open up the hip as you lean that knee in. So our final movement will be controlled articular rotations. We're gonna do 3 reps per side. There and back is 1 rep. So again, we want tension in the body, so we're gonna be breathing into the stomach and slightly contracting all of your muscles. If you need to make fists or put your hands down like so, we'll go with the left leg first. We're going to pull up into flexion as much as we're able. Again, don't arch around the low back. We're going to rotate into external rotation, open up the hip into abduction, and really be squeezing the side of the hip and try to get this leg as low to the ground as possible without leaning the body, all right? After you can't go anymore, rotate the ankle into external rotation towards the ceiling, and once again, close up into flexion, and then as far over the body, again, without rolling at the low back, into adduction, and then back down. So once with the right leg, up as far as you can into flexion, really be pulling and squeezing. Don't arch the back, around the low back, across the body. External rotation, open, open, open into abduction, goes low to the ground. Shin is parallel with the ground, squeezing the side of the glutes. When you can't go anymore, rotate into external rotation, back up into flexion, across the body, external rotation, and relax. So just isolate the hip, have some tension everywhere to help you out. 3 reps, open and close per side. All right guys, day number 7 in the books. Again, that's a morning routine you can do without even getting out of bed. But obviously, if you want to get out of bed, get the yoga mat out, do that, and you can do that any part of the day. Your hips have to rotate, they have to be flexible, but also mobile and controlled and strong. So that's why we're mixing in the stretching with the controlled articular rotations, and we're really trying to focus on isolating just the hip rotating without using any other parts of the body to compensate to get more movement. So stay with it. See you in the next video tomorrow.